This channel reached me and they had that animation made in After Effects, looking pretty cool, and they want it to be done in Spine. So the task is not easy actually, because we can see a lot of techniques were being used from After Effects, like warping here and shining their smokes and like masks. So we need to be careful to understand which one we can replicate and which one we can just discard, because being honest, not everything can be done in Spine. I can see the text appearing is pretty boring here. We can work on that, maybe do better. They just zoom out, but everything else is nicely done. Another thing I can improve, I guess, is that details can be unwrapped a little bit more logically. I can see here are some parts are in the air just hanging there, and then other parts are coming and joining them. Yeah, maybe we can just bring this piece and then rotate the other piece and open up it here. I actually would not like to rotate this crystal here. It's solid, it's welded here. So let's see what we cannot do in Spine actually. Warping, right away I'm saying it's not gonna happen. This masking of this huge effect, I don't think we can manage it. Another thing I'm gonna try to do it is the shining of these golden metal pieces or whatever. It's like super nicely done, especially this part. You can concentrate on that. What I want to keep is that impression of this logo should be the same or better, not less. So if we see somewhere shining, maybe we can like manually do that shining one or two places, so it constructs all. So with that, sequence can still flow in that rectangle, but we will have that on the O and it will be circular. So the first thing, for this purpose, we need to make sure that it can be rectangular. So I'm getting Photoshop file that comes with that package. Let's drag it in Photoshop. You can see it loads just as a video, transparent. Later we can render it as PNG sequences. First I'm gonna try to warp it. Yeah, I think it successfully became rectangular, but still I have doubts about using it in the project. So let's just export it and then we will see in the project how it becomes, because I'm gonna overlap one over the other. I need to see how they actually behave when I change to linear additive and desaturate it. So for now, let's just add an adjustment layer and desaturate it. Okay, I'm not gonna trim now, because if I trim, it will trim looking for this one frame, and then we might have another frames that are actually going out of the bound and getting cut. So right now I will just export it. We have this nice arrow here. Let's go PNG. Let's check them. Yeah, looking nice. So it's still not ready. I'm gonna put them back into the Photoshop. I'm gonna use Spine Script to make it smaller, maybe 25%. I don't want to trim, I don't want JSON. And okay, so I have that one. I'm gonna bring in the other effect, which is already straightforward. I'm gonna skip that part, but I will bring also this effect and this effect, and we will start working in the spine. Okay. Okay, I have them in spine, but to see if they are working or not, I need the actual project imported into spine, so I see how they actually overlap with blending. Let's go to Photoshop and maybe do some planning here as well. We have letters, that's great, they are separate. I'm gonna create skins for them, but before that I will actually need to do some thinking. We have these different effects. As I told you, I'm not going to use them as they are now, but here are some thoughts. Even if I would clearly cut them into pieces. So for example, this would go one, this would go as one. I'm looking at the rectangles they are building. This would go as one, and that's it. Everything else would be flipped easily. One more thing I noticed, that we have a lot of objects diagonally placed, and since they are separate very well and detailed, it's gonna create a lot of empty spaces in the pack. So maybe I can pick few of them and like straighten them here in Photoshop and export like that, because that way you can see that their rectangles are smaller and they will be packed better. So having all flipped is actually very good news for me. I didn't have that in the briefing, but it's really important because I can optimize the images, and I can also optimize, save some time in the animation, because I can animate one wing and then duplicate that. This saves me a lot of time to then concentrate on the VFX part to make sure that the initial design was delivered nicely, that was achieved in After Effects. So I'm gonna put this one side in just one folder, maybe tag it as ignore. And before actually exporting it, I would like to go and straighten some pieces that are strictly diagonal and take too much empty space. But doing that, I will lose initial design. So I have to make sure I have that as a template. You can see it's actually a lot of work to do this manually. It might actually be the first time you are seeing someone doing this. But this is going to pay off when I introduce VFX, because it kind of gives me confidence to bring in VFX easily and not think about like it's gonna be too much or whatever. Next, we'll need to put the word defeat and victory under skin. So we have separate letters. I want to keep that. I'm gonna change the names and put the skins here using tags. So this means we will have two skins, defeat and victory, and each of them will have slots, defeat for each letter and victory. So we don't need multiple slots for each of them. So I'm gonna take the skin that has the most letters and just number them. So the same here. I want them to correspond. So they will create 7 slots, and for the feed skin, we will have the 7th slot empty. So it will have a skin placeholder, but it will be empty. So we will have slot, skin placeholder, but then empty. So we don't need background. I'll mark it as ignore, so it doesn't get exported. Before exporting, I'll set up the guides at the center and drag the origin point. So this will tell Spine to align this asset at the root position here, the center. Let's save our Photoshop file and export it. In Spine 4.2, you can directly import Photoshop file. However, I'm using 4.1. This is just for production project. Let's use the script for now. While it's generating, I'm looking at the pieces that create the most white space, empty space. So maybe I can go back and rotate that. And this is the skins actually. You can see we have letters here creating. I think we are fine, you know. Let's import this into Spine and see what we have. Great. Let's also put the template there. This will help me to align it. I'm gonna align it manually here, offline, to not take too much time from you guys. Nice. I have aligned them. Let's remove the template. We no longer need it. And let's check the skins. So none of them is activated now. That's the reason we don't see the text. This is defeat. This is victory. Now let's quickly see the slots. And the moment I change the skin, we see that just attachments are being changed. If I had different names for the layers, I would see multiple slots here and they would just disappear, as we see here with 7th letter. We don't see attachment and we see attachment here. So this way we just have 7 slots, 7 placeholders. That works fine. Next time I'm gonna try to flip. So find the assets that's gonna be flipping for us. Let's for that hide the skins for now. Put everything under one container, the same place as the root bone. And inside that container, I'm gonna place another bone and call it flip. That's gonna work for us as a flipping. Okay, let's select container, create another bone. Same place, working fine. Call it flip. Now I'm gonna select all the attachments that I want to put inside that flip. Some of them that I can deselect here, I will do it because they don't need to be flipped. I'm fine with them being flipped. Great. So I need to move them under that flip bone. But if I drag it here or parent it, it will actually move the attachments and create new slots for them. I don't need that. I'm gonna select the selection under number 1 and do that dragging. So you can see we have perfectly dragged them, but new slots were created and we have a lot of empty slots and the draw order was compromised. We don't need that. So let's revert it. Now enable filter, slot filter, and we can see we have slots selected. I'm gonna hit parent and select that flip. I'm hovering over it and I can read the name here. So that's the flip bone. Otherwise, you can also enable the filtering for the bones. Great. So now the same draw order was kept and we moved all there. Disable the filtering. Somehow I missed it. but it's fine. I should have included that in the flip. So let's put this there. I'm gonna duplicate this again and flip it. Now it works fine. So for now, I will just delete it and work on this right section. One thing I would like to do, I would like to add bonds like a tree. So one inside the other and nest it and then goes to the tip. So it's like a combined one structure, like a wing. I'm gonna work with the flip bone, but also move all of them inside container because our container should move everything. And this can be moved under another maybe word, text bone. Move it there. This is our crystal. What we have here? Yeah, let's leave them for now. Let's leave and see how we organize it later. Our container should have this whole wing. Now let's rig and think about what I said about the structure looking like a tree. So branches should be nested in the parent branch. And all that said, the root branch should be here starting. Maybe I can have one container here, and that container can have 3 bones here. And this in its own turn will have one here, and this will have one here. This will have one here. I also want this section, this one, to be rotatable. So let's add another one. So I'm thinking that this one can just appear from behind this. I'd like to include this tip inside this bone. Maybe I will just scale it this way. Let's parent some images to the bones, keeping the same logic. I'm gonna repaint this. Maybe I will make it appear like something like this. So when it comes here and then this one drops in. I'm thinking animating all the metal pieces like they are the main motion driver, and then this soft piece like wooden or whatever it is appears and rubs things up to hold them together. So I don't worry about them. I'm gonna mesh them. It's gonna be looking soft, but I will clearly avoid making this metal stuff looking soft and bendy. So I'm gonna do that. This appears and then this one just drops in, or maybe fills in by scaling in it. Make sure all these bones, the ones that gonna be flipping, are inside that flip bone. Need to do some adjustment here. Go there, flipping, and things look fine here. Yeah, text also should not be there. So this is the root for all this wing, and this should go here. This should go here. Nice. Great. Let me just bind the soft pieces as well.